So after the Civil War, you've got a nation that's, politically stitched back together, but it's still physically divided by thousands of miles of just wilderness. Crossing the continent was this months-long, brutal ordeal. We're going to dive into the absolutely monumental project that aimed to change all of that by forging the nation a brand new spine, one made of iron and steel.
I mean, seriously, think about it. Put yourself in the 1860s. Your country's coasts are separated by thousands of miles of mountains, deserts, and plains. How on earth do you physically unite a country this massive? Answering that question was going to define an entire era of American history.
And the answer they came up with was just as audacious as the problem itself: a continuous ribbon of iron and wood stretching almost 2,000 miles. It was basically an engineering fantasy, something that would demand a staggering amount of money, muscle, and just pure, stubborn willpower to bring to life.
Now, this idea of a coast-to-coast railroad wasn't exactly new. People had been dreaming about it since the 1830s. But the real problem was politics. The North and South were constantly fighting over the route, so nothing ever got done. It was the Civil War that finally changed everything and made it a strategic must-do for the Union, a way to lock down the West Coast and bind it to a fractured nation.
Okay, so this right here, this is the piece of paper that really lit the fuse. With the southern states gone from Congress, President Lincoln and the government pushed through the Pacific Railroad Act. It officially gave the job to two companies, the Central Pacific and the Union Pacific, and basically said, all right, start building towards each other, go!
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. You might think this was some big collaborative project, right? Nope. Thanks to all those government incentives, it turned into a full-blown, high-stakes competition. A race where every single mile of track you laid meant more land and more money in your pocket.
So who were the players in this epic race? Well, on one side, you have the Central Pacific, pushing east out of California. Their biggest obstacle, a colossal wall of solid granite called the Sierra Nevada Mountains. And on the other side, the Union Pacific, charging west from Nebraska, facing the brutal weather and just vast emptiness of the Great Plains. Two companies, two totally different battlefields.
So what was pushing them to go so fast? Cold, hard cash. The government was paying out bonds for every single mile of track. It started at $16,000 on the flatland, but the real prize was in the mountains, where that payout soared to a whopping $48,000 per mile. In this race, speed wasn't just about pride, it was all about profit. The faster you built, the richer you got. Simple as that.
But all this talk about big companies and big money, it kind of overlooks the most crucial part of this whole story. This railroad wasn't built by businessmen sitting in boardrooms. It was forged inch by grueling inch by the hands of thousands and thousands of laborers facing just unimaginable hardship.
And the two companies, they relied on totally different workforces. The Central Pacific, struggling to find enough workers, hired about 15,000 Chinese immigrants. These guys became absolute experts at the terrifying job of blasting tunnels through solid rock with nitroglycerin. Meanwhile, the Union Pacific was powered mostly by Irish immigrants and Civil War veterans. Both groups faced just brutal conditions, everything from deadly avalanches to armed raids, all for low pay and some of the most dangerous jobs you can imagine.
And this grueling work just went on and on for 6 years. But get this, look at that last point. In April of 1869, as the two lines were getting super close to meeting, a crew from the Central Pacific, mostly Chinese laborers, set a record that still seems completely insane. They laid over 10 miles of track in a single 12-hour day. It's just a stunning testament to their incredible skill and endurance.
After all those years of struggle, of blasting through mountains and freezing on the plains, the race was finally coming to an end. The two iron snakes, one slithering from the east and one from the west, were about to meet in the Utah desert. This was the moment the entire country had been waiting for. So picture this. It's May 10th, 1869, at a place called Promontory Summit. The ceremony kicks off. The two famous locomotives, Jupiter and number 119, pull up until they're practically touching. Dignitaries bring out these fancy ceremonial spikes, including a famous one made of 17.6 karat gold. And then the president of the Central Pacific, Leland Stanford, steps up with a special silver hammer that's wired to the entire nation's telegraph system, ready to send the signal to the world.
He swung, and with that, a single word flashed across every telegraph office from coast to coast: done. Immediately, church bells started ringing in San Francisco, cannons fired in New York. Cities everywhere just erupted in celebration. The continent was conquered, the impossible was finished, and a brand new era for America had officially begun.
But you see, connecting a country is one thing. Understanding what comes next, that's something else entirely. The real story isn't just about that shiny golden spike. It's about the complex and often really costly legacy that this iron link left behind for all of us.
The good stuff? Well, it was nothing short of revolutionary. A journey that used to take 6 agonizing months by wagon? Boom! Cut down to a single week by train, and this didn't just make travel easier. It kicked off one of the biggest migrations in human history. It fueled explosive economic growth, and it became this incredible symbol that America, even fresh from a devastating civil war, could still achieve the impossible.
But all of that progress came at a really, really heavy price. There was the brutal exploitation of the workers, especially the Chinese laborers who were pretty much erased from the official story for a long, long time. There was the devastating upheaval for Native American tribes whose lands were just carved up and their entire way of life shattered. And on top of all of that, there was the massive political corruption that tainted the whole project from the very top down.
And that's what we're left with, isn't it? The Transcontinental Railroad undeniably built modern America. But it's also this powerful reminder that huge achievements often cast some very long, very dark shadows. It forces us to ask a question that's just as relevant today as it was 150 years ago. When we build the future, who pays the price?
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us.